I'm Geoff Dyer from the Financial Times. I'm here today with John Carlin, the Assistant Attorney General for National Security. John, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
We're talking about cyber terrorism threats. Could you explain to us how much of a threat is ISIS from a cyber point of view?
I think we have to take the threat seriously. They clearly have the intent to cause as much harm as they can, just like they do in the real world, where they murder with impunity, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, where they use rape as a political tool, and where they're selling women and children into slavery. They've announced their intent to commit as much destruction as they can through cyber-enabled means, and now they're actively trying to acquire that capability. So we need to move fast to both improve our defenses before they acquire that capability and do everything we can to disrupt their attempts to acquire it.
But we read about them from the social media point of view all the time, but how sophisticated are they from a cyber terrorism point of view?
Look, if they had the capability right now to cause a major destructive attack, they would. There's no deterring this group, and they have the intent. What we've seen instead are relatively unsophisticated intrusions, like one in which they stole personal identifiable information from a U.S. company. And then what they did on the back end was they took that personal identifiable information, culled through it for the names, addresses of U.S. Government employees, and then using Twitter, posted that message back into the U.S. and called on its adherents to kill those individuals. So not a terribly sophisticated cyber intrusion, but one that could have resulted in the loss of life.
John, one final question. What are the risks that some of these criminal gangs we hear about that are hacking banks or healthcare companies, what are the risks that they would start to hire their services out to terrorist groups?
We need to think seriously about the blended threat. So these are criminal groups already, sophisticated criminal groups, develop cyber weapons, essentially of mass destruction, enormous botnets. And what they do now is they rent out the use of those botnets to other criminal groups who profit off them. So we need to think about what's going to happen with these terrorist groups who are actively trying to acquire that capability if they marry up with the criminal group. And the other thing we're seeing is nation-state actors with incredibly sophisticated tools who then use those tools to commit criminal acts for profit. They too might ultimately end up marrying up with a terrorist group, and we need to take that seriously.
John Carlin, Assistant Attorney General, thanks very much for talking to us today.
Thank you.